Okay, so let's create a new file, which we'll be discussing regarding objects. So objects in TypeScript. So what is in general objects is? Um, if you have gone through with any of the programming, let's say Java, if you have worked on Java earlier, then you might be knowing object is something that we create an object for a class to use the methods and properties of an properties that we have declared inside a class. So whenever we create a class, we basically have to use the properties and method by creating the objects. Okay, that is one way where we have an object in any of the programming language. That means whenever we create a class to use the properties and method available inside a class, we can use an objects. But in general, in JavaScript and TypeScript, objects are basically a collection of key value pair. Okay, key value pair. These values, like these key values that we see over here, can store various types of data, can be inclusive of primitive values, that means numeric, string, boolean type, can also declare some kind of functions and another objects as well. That means inside the object, we can declare a function as well. Inside the object, we can also declare uh, another object as well. But in general, in terms of TypeScript, objects is a collection of key and value pair. A collection of properties is known as object. And that properties will be written in a key value pair. And also, objects, whenever we declare an object, we'll be declaring it inside a curly braces. Okay, I've also prepared a document already for this. I've stored inside the drive folder. You can go through it from there as well. But in general, objects are a collection of key value pair, which it is also known as a collection of properties. Properties will be mentioned by using a key value pair. Okay, now let's see how do we declare a key value objects in TypeScript. There are different ways in which we can declare an objects, but let's say if you have worked on Java and you have created a class, let's say the name of the class you have given it as something known as, let's say, some class name you have given inside a Java file. How do we create an object for that class is by using a class name, then some object reference equals to using a new keyword, we create the object for the class name. Right? This is how we create the class name that we have declared. Object reference equals to new keyword and the class name that we have declared. So to create an object in Java. This is how we create an object in Java. Let's say if you have worked on Java earlier. Now, in terms of TypeScript or JavaScript, there are different ways in which we can declare an object in JavaScript and TypeScript. So objects are, as per the definition, objects are basically a key value pair which consist of a collection of properties, and that properties will be available as a key value pair. What is meant by properties will be available as a key value pair? So let's say I'm a person having some kind of property, right? Having some kind of properties, right? What can be that property? So a person can have a name, whatever the name, XYZ, whatever the name is, it is having. Age is some kind of, let's say, 30. And maybe, let's say, in which city they are trying to stay. So again, let's say XYZ. So what happened in this case is, this is something that we have for a person as an object. A person is there who is having a different kind of property. A name can be, let's say, something as a Rahul, is 30, and city, let's say they are staying in New York, example. Okay, so these are a property for an object. And whenever we declare this inside a curly braces, let's say inside this curly braces, this is known as an object in JavaScript and TypeScript. Okay, this is known as an object in TypeScript. Wherever in terms of whenever you try to see your code or the code that have been written by someone or the test that have been written by someone, and if you see something have been written inside a curly braces, which is having a key and value pair, everything that we write inside a curly braces is not an object. As per the definition, we know that object is a collection of key and value pair that will be declared inside a curly braces. So whenever you see something that have been declared inside a curly braces, having a key and value pair, that is known as an object in TypeScript. Object in JavaScript and TypeScript, both are same. There is no difference at all. The only difference that we have seen till now in terms of TypeScript is we also mention the type of the properties that we are trying to store. That means just type checking kind of. What is meant by type checking? So for this name, we have declared and string, and it cannot accept other data type value. For age, we have to declare a number value. And for city, again, we have to declare a something which is known as a string part. Okay. In general, if you declare in this way as well, this is an object. What we can do is we can just declare, store it inside a variable. Let's say, I'll just say it as object obj equals to like this kind of value. Okay. So what happened over here? Every value will be again separated by a comma. So what did we do? What did we declare over here is, let me take to a one single line itself so that you'll understand in a better way. So if you see over here, what did we do? We have declared a variable known as obj, which is object, equals to inside the curly braces, we have declared a variable, some kind of properties having key and value pair, which means this key is a name having a value as Rahul, age 30, city, New York. Now, one more thing that we have to take care of here is, in terms of JavaScript or TypeScript, whenever you declare a variable, the key will always be in a string format. You see this one, this we have declared name, this we have declared age, this we have declared city. This will always be in a string format. But we do not have to mention it specifically that those are, like, we do not have to mention it specifically like this, which is string format. We do not have to mention in this way. We just have to declare the variable name. That means a key that we are trying to store, and internally TypeScript will automatically convert the key into a string format. If you see over here, you can see a property name, which is a type as string. If you see over here, age, which is a type as number, that the value I have declared over here. And if you see over here a city, it will automatically internally be converted into a string format. Okay, currently it is displaying the value that we have stored inside the inside the key as a value. Whatever the value we have provided over here will be converted in that way, like string number and like string value, whatever the value that we are trying to declare over here. But in general, the key will always be internally converted into a string format. Now, how do I know that the key will always be converted into a string format? Let's see. I'll show you one example over here. So whenever we have to get the value from the object, we'll be using object dot key. That means to get the value from an object, the syntax is syntax to fetch the value, fetch the value for a key from object. We just do it as, let's say, object, let's say object name that we declared dot, okay, dot key. This will give us a value for the key that we are trying to get it over here. This is one way. Second way is we can also mention it as object name. And then inside the square bracket, we can provide the key in terms of string, key in terms of string format. These are the two ways in which we can get the value from an object. Now, if you see this one, this we have used uh, by using the first syntax that we have, which is object reference, the variable that we have declared. This variable, if you hover over on this, you'll see that this contains an object. Okay. Now to get the value from the object, we can use object name dot key. That's it. It will print us the value which is displaying whatever we have stored inside a variable, which is inside an object. How do we run the file over here in terms of TypeScript is, we'll say it as object. So your objects.ts. Now, if you see, this has returned us a value which is Rahul over here, right? This is one way in which we can get the value. Now, second way is by using object inside the square bracket, we have to use a key, which is in this format. Let's say I'll just say it as name over here. Okay, inside the square bracket. Earlier, as I talked about that whatever we declare inside an object as a part of key will be converted internally by the TypeScript in string format. Okay, but if you see over here, it is saying name. Basic. Okay, let me declare a name. Name was a keyword available earlier that have been deprecated. So let me try to provide over here a name. So now if you see over here, it is saying cannot find name, name one. Did you mean name? That means it is saying whatever you have declared over here, I am unable to find out that particular key. Why? Because we know that the TypeScript will internally convert the key as a string. But now if you try to declare this as a part of string value, you will see that this will display as a value which is similar to the value that we have declared it over here. Now if you try to get the value, it is displaying as a value as Rahul. So this is in general a proof that all the key inside the object is internally being stored as a string format. Okay. So this is how we generally declare an object in TypeScript. One way is this, where we declare in this way. This is also known as type inference, where TypeScript will automatically identify what kind of value that we have in that we have stored inside a variable, which is obj over here. Okay, that means it will automatically identify that we have declared an object having a first property, which is name1 as string, age as number, and city as string. But we have, whenever we try to declare in terms of TypeScript, how do we have to declare is by also providing the explicit data type that we are trying to use. That means we have to mention at the time of, let's say, whenever we declare a variable, which is a equals to 10, how do we declare the value? How do we declare the variable in terms of TypeScript is also by providing a data type, which is number over here. In the same way for object also, we can do that. If we do not provide like a data type for the object, like key that we are trying to store, if we do not provide the data type for all those key, based on the value, TypeScript will automatically identify. But if you want to declare, let's say what happened over here. So I'll just say it as a person is an object that I'm trying to create. Okay. And we know that object will be in the form of key and value, which will be available inside a curly braces. So to store the key and value and provide the data over here, we also have to provide in the curly braces itself. Okay. And that we have to mention over here. Let's say if we are trying to declare a name, we can mention it as name. Will be declaring a name which will be in the form of string. Then we are trying to declare, let's say, age, which will be in the form of number. And then we are also trying, let's say, address, which will be in the form of, again, string. So what did we do over here is we are trying to say that we are declaring an object. That object should consist of only these three values, and these three values have declared some data type. Name cannot, you cannot declare any other things as a part of name. But if you see over here, as we have not declared, so you can declare the value which is 40 as well. In this case, it will automatically consider the name that you have declared as 40 over here. Okay, but now if you try to do a more specific, a more generic kind of data type that you are forcing anyone to use the data, like strict data as well, in terms of declaring the object, you can mention in this way. What is this? This is the data type that we are providing inside the object to store the value as we have given over here. That means name, if you try to use like this kind of things, which is over here, it will throw us an error saying name that we have declared over here. Object literal may only specify known properties. Okay, but name one does not exist in the type. What it is saying is, we have provided the name over here, but you have provided a name one as a key. So we always have to provide the name over here as well. But let's say if you try to declare as we have declared over here, which is earlier it was 40. So if you mention it something like, let's say 50, it is still not throwing an error because we have not specifically defined what kind of data type we are trying to store inside a name one. Here, if you see, we have declared a name. And now if you try to enter like, let's say 60, it throws us an error saying that type number is not assignable to a string. That means it is saying that you have mentioned that name should only be a string form, but you have declared is at a number. If you now change it to a string value, it will display the value. It will not throw any kind of error over here. Now here also, if you see, it is saying city, you did not declare that you are trying to declare a city. You have mentioned it as address. So you have to mention the key exactly similar to however you have mentioned as a type. This is basically a type. That means what type of data type we are trying to store for a variable. Okay, so this is another way in which we can define. This is more specific way where we can define the properties inside the object, where we are saying that we have declared a object person having uh, three properties, which is name, age, and address of the person. And the type of name should only be a string, type of age should only be number, and type of address should only be a string value that we have to declare. So this is a more specific or more strict way to declare an object in TypeScript. Okay, this is another way how do we declare the TypeScript. There are a couple of more ways in which we can declare an object in TypeScript. I'll quickly finish it off over here as well. But to get the value, we always use either object dot key, that means person dot key. Let's say if you want to get the address of a person, how do we use that? Person is an object that we have declared over here. Okay, this is generally a variable which is storing an object inside this particular variable. So that becomes an object. Object dot, let's say, address if we want to get. We can directly use it at project. This is like person dot address. Or if you want to get it like this, you generally have to mention something which is person, and inside that we have to mention address, which is in the form of string value, because in the key will always be an object inside the key will always be an object inside the key will always be a string inside the object. Okay, so this is how we declare. There are a couple of more ways in which we can declare by we also have by using a type aliases. What is meant that is when we want to reuse an object structure. So here, if you see, we have just declared and we cannot we cannot use the similar one inside another object. Let's say if I want to declare another object known as person1. Let's say example, another object known as person. At that point of time, we have to declare again the same format and then again declare the variable over here. But sometimes what happen is we declare one type of like structure that we have to declare in this way. And at that point, after that, we can utilize in the number of object that we create. So whenever we have to reuse an object structure multiple places, we can use a type structure or type aliases or interface in terms of TypeScript. Okay. So